the rise and fall of the Just Cause series. Let's head back to 2006, the release of Just Cause, an open world game which some critics claim that it's better than GTA in some aspect at that moment of time. If we go 13 years ago in 2010 and 2011, the release of Just Cause 2, we remember the grappling hook more than that of the story. A gaming series that has a different flavor to what actually an open world game should be. In 2006, Avalanche Studios, the developers, knew that what players wanted. As when Just Cause got a release, it wasn't just a game where you can just do a lot of explosion and do incredible stunt, but it had over 250,000 acres of land to explore, the largest environment ever seen in a game at that time. Comparing that with GTA Vice City, which was in peak at that moment of time, that had a map of 5.6 square kilometer map area, Just Cause had more than 1,000 square kilometer map. Just Cause actually made open world game a really open world. As a matter of fact, Avalanche Studios gave full control on the hand of the players as how they want to play the mission. You can approach the mission in any way you like or break off from the fight and enjoy exploring the island. The game has a lot of plus points on its release, and the most interesting and better would be the variety of vehicles that you find across the map. At the point, open world games didn't have so much a variety of what Avalanche Studio provided in Just Cause. When I first played the game, I really couldn't track the amount of time I put in the game as I was deeply into the game. Moreover, the stunts added using the grappling hook combined with the parachute and the way of how you get into a vehicle all were completely new at that time. There were no other games which were even doing something close to that. It was far ahead of time considering the mechanics of the game. Though at the initial release, it did have some issues. Graphics or texture tearing, stutters, crashes, bad physics, and much more. But we can't deny the fact that this is the OG Just Cause. Even after playing the game right now, as it's being like 18 years, it's not that bad at all. It still had that fun. Yeah, we can say that graphics are not good, mechanics are old, engine of the game is too old, now we have better engines with a lot of dynamics, but in 2006 this was a big deal. Coming on, the foot gunplay is pretty basic with large varieties of weapons, but they mostly feel the same. Combat is just run and gun, no grappling hook, combat, and no auto aim present. As of now in 2024, it ain't easy to run old games in a modern PC as there are a lot of things that we need to take care of in order to run the game properly. The driving in the game is kind of decent. Personally being, I thought it was worst, but when I saw a couple of drifts with the vehicle, my mind changed, as it's not that bad considering the age of the game. It took me around 8 hours to finish the whole game, including the side quest, which I feel is a little less considering being an open world game and the size of the map or island. But being a 2006 game with so much of variety, probably the devs thought of making the story interesting rather than lengthy. If that's what's the idea behind it, then I respect that. And once the story and the side missions were over, there's not much you can do in the game. It was just a big island with same kind of forest, vegetation, and villages which you can explore. Overall, it's a good start considering how many elements were added in the game, that too in 2006. I would give a solid 7 out of 10 as it sits right now. Just Cause 2, as per of my opinion, the best in the series. I still remember it around 2011 or 2012, maybe after a year of the game release, as the game was released in 2010, but I got the game after a year, after asking my parents to buy the game, as being a bit jealous of my friends already playing it. So I got it after a year, which was a good thing as it had got most of the updates and issues were fixed, and I remember coming back from school and straightway switching on the computer and start playing it. The sad part is that when I played it initially, the game had some crashes, and it still do. I mean, the game crashed for like 2 to 3 times in the startup until I was able to run it properly. Another slightly negative thing for me is that this is completely my personal opinion as I'm not into cutscenes. But some side missions cutscenes were as long as the mission itself, and some of the cutscenes were completely unskippable. The game has going around the fictional country of Panau, completing missions for 3 main revolutionary groups. The groups all feel like they could have been one big group. The side missions that they don't feel unique to their factions except maybe for the stronghold missions. Just like Just Cause 1, the variety of vehicles is incredible. Like, I want to give a big thumbs up to the devs considering the amount of automobiles added to the game, which is far more that of what the initial release, though driving is not up to the mark, but can't complain much considering the game is about 14 years old. For me, the nostalgic element was the grappling hook. Traversing through the world with a parachute and grappling hook was my go-to for shorter distance, which is also faster than driving around the world. Moreover, how using the grappling hook we can attach to any vehicles, including choppers, and go onto it and take control over the vehicle. Looking into the map, which is about 1036 square kilometers, slightly bigger than Just Cause 1, which is a massive map, probably this time the devs thought of implementing more into mechanics and other aspects of the game, as the game already had a bigger map in Just Cause 1. Playing the game after a long time, it was still fun. The explosion and stunts and chaos brought back a lot of memories, and I'm pretty sure many of the players would agree that Just Cause 2 is the best in the series considering the age of the game and the number of elements, varieties, and mechanics that were in the game. Also, the length of the entire game. It's easily 100 plus hours, that too including some multiplayer missions. The world is really good. Yes, most of the cities and villages are copy paste, but there's not much of a different region on the map with different climate, weathers, and views that you'll never get bored. Graphics is on the level too, especially fires and explosion animations. You'll get addicted to blowing things up. Stories and quests are not the strongest part of the game, but they do their job. Another feature worth mentioning is the hidden items search radar. In my opinion, really great idea. It was finally interesting to find stuffs by yourself without spending hours in vain or using like YouTube guide or something like that. If you're an open world fan, I would highly recommend you to try Just Cause 2. Even in 2024, I'm pretty sure you won't regret it. Just Cause 3. When the game came into the market in 2015, I was way too excited considering the hype, as after the success of Just Cause 2, the devs took a whole 5 years in development of the third game in the series. So the expectations were very high for every Just Cause fan. My initial reaction was Just Cause 3 feels like more a AA game than that focuses on one niche rather than a AAA game. I mean, no doubt the graphics have increased, amazing music, physics improve, lot specifically the destruction and explosion, but unfortunately the game felt a little bit boring to me after playing the first two missions. And the reason was the game just repeated itself again and again. For example, one can destroy a statue through a creative means so many times before getting tried and realizing that a rocket launcher is the quickest and the most effective and efficient means to destroy it. So players were taking simple steps rather than thinking and focusing on how to do it more creative way. The repetition in the game were the worst, though other than that, every aspect of the game were on point. The expectations were not up to the mark in the initial phase of the game, as per my opinion. Moreover, the missions were relatively easy, even on high difficulty, and the other thing which devs could have put a little bit of effort was the enemy AI, as majority of the enemy AI just spawn anywhere in the map. Probably they could have fixed that, but for me it's still happening. But with that being said, I really like the game. Considering a 9-year-old game with graphics were really good, mechanics were smooth, enhanced in the game, moreover, trains were added, which I don't think it was there in Just Cause 2, or probably I have missed it. I would put the game overall better than Just Cause 1 for sure, but not up to the mark if we compare with the dynamism Just Cause 2 provided. The combination of grappling hook and the wing shoot, which was added in Just Cause 3, is something else. That's the star of the game. The way how you control Rico in air on the wing shoot and glide through obstacles doing different stunts is incredible. I think Just Cause 3's lackluster plot and missions really hold it back from being recognized as one of the great games. The sound, the music cues are terrific. In other ways, it's truly a milestone. The art direction, the visual presentation are flawless. The feel of the controls and the seamless weaving between parachute, grappling hook, wing shoot, vehicles was a real achievement. Overall, a great game, really enjoyed it, but what I expect from Just Cause 3 after playing Just Cause 2, considering the nostalgia about the game, was not up to that mark, but no disrespect to Just Cause 3 at all. Just Cause 4. This is where the series got a bad mark on it. Considering the success of the series, there was no way someone would have thought, including me, that the series would have such a disaster. I was really hyped for the game, as I was for Just Cause 3. Though the game was slightly better than Just Cause 3 in a lot of aspects, for example, the explosion animation to new physics and environment were enhanced a lot. But the first unfortunate thing which I feel is the identity of Just Cause series that the devs consider making the map smaller. I was not sure that what made them do it, as probably they would consider looking into other elements, but I feel that wasn't a good idea. When I first played the game, there was no major issues like crashes or lags, but the game was way too buggy and a lot of glitch. Many texture tearing, spawning of villages in real time, and a lot more bugs that I could discover. Moreover, no base or city liberation like Just Cause 3. Chaos objects respawn so you feel like you're having no real impact on the world. And the way you take over regions is through boring repetitive side quests, and they remove several lot of little movements, things pertaining to grappling, wing shoot, and stunt position. And I had no idea why devs were trying to change Just Cause elements that really work so well throughout the entire series. Other smaller things I noticed is the lack of base diversity. Just Cause 3 was loaded with unique base types with their own unique chaos objects. like light, huge towering radar spires and satellite dishes, things like that. Or it has some other interesting features to them, like being an underground harbor, for example, and taking them over was always a blast. Just Cause 4 had some unique options to make more biome specific bases, but the devs didn't consider doing that, which is very sad. Though the game is fun, like explosion, fighting enemies, exploring, all those elements were synced perfectly. And I looked into a couple of forums and I found out that Just Cause 4 budget was quite less according to some critics. It may be a rumor too, so take it as a grain of salt, but if it is true, no idea why would they consider doing that move, as Just Cause 3 wasn't a flop game at all. Many players that review the game claim that the game has degraded from Just Cause 3, which I totally agree. Additionally, talking about the graphics, to me it looks a bit dark and the cutscenes were even worse. Just Cause 3 was a whole lot better in this aspect for sure. The same goes for the much praised extreme weather system. Tornadoes, sandstorms, or massive lightning storms are delegate to a handful of story missions where they have taken a form of scripted event. Not to imply it isn't fun to glide around a tornado, pierce through a sandstorm with a train, or dodge a lightning bolt. The game shines at those moments. I just wished the game would have done a little bit more with them, taking the advantage of the extreme weather it proudly boasts about. I remember playing the game in 2018, and just after mission 1, I couldn't play more. It wasn't fun at all. There were a whole lot of issues with the game considering all the bugs and glitches and those dark graphics that were making me sick. Playing it now after 6 years, the dev have improved a lot of things in the game, from mechanics to graphics, and the grappling hook, which was the main asset of the game, is way too smooth, and even the wing shoot have been improved a lot from Just Cause 3, and it was fun to glide. Though I would say that even after these years, that it's still not a complete game, as it's needed a lot of improvement. As of recent reviews in Steam, 60% players find the game positive, which has improved as the devs has worked on the majority of the things in the game. So I would still consider playing Just Cause 3, as it's far better than Just Cause 4 right now. Now the big question is, will there be a Just Cause 5? Put your thoughts in the comment section. If you ask me that question, I probably think yes. The reason being is that I believe the devs would consider making the series alive again with fixing all those mistakes done in Just Cause 4. Do let me know in the comment section that which is your favorite Just Cause game in the series. That will be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.